Have you ever sat at a football game and had no idea who to even cheer for? I have. I just clapped and yelled when everyone else did, and honestly, sometimes I still feel that way. But here's what I've learned. You don't have to be a perfect fan. You just have to start somewhere, anywhere. And that's what being a fan in progress is all about. And today, on Fan in Progress, we are tackling the most intimidating sport of all, football. Hey y'all, welcome back to Fan in Progress. If you've ever sat through or watched a football game and thought, wait, what's even happening? You're in the right place. Because let's be honest, football is overwhelming. I may know a lot more now than I did back then, but I am still lost most of the time. And it definitely feels like the most intimidating but fun sport to me. There are 22 players all crammed on the field. Refs are throwing flags and waving their arms around like they're doing some interpretive dance. And the announcers are shouting things like 3rd and 7. And I'm just sitting there thinking like, why does this sound so complicated? Why does this sound like I'm in a math class? For a long time, I really avoided getting into football because it just felt too complicated. If you didn't grow up watching it, you were already behind. So I was like, that's fine. I'll just be a fan. I'll just hang out and cheer for my team, and that's all. But I also really wanted to know more. I wanted to really understand what was going on. Not just the game, but the enthusiasm, the energy of why people loved it so much. Because I love football, but not everyone feels that way. And when I started learning and understanding more, I started to love it more than I ever did before. For me, the first thing was understanding the downs or the down system. That was the first thing that really tripped me up. So you hear 1st and 10 or 3rd and 5, and at first it feels like a foreign language. But I've learned that this is what it really means. You get 4 chances or 4 tries to move the ball 10 yards. If you do, you reset and you get another 4 tries and so on until you get a touchdown. So if it's their first or third try, then they need to move the ball 10 yards, or in that case, move the ball 5 yards to reset for a fresh set of downs. Each team gets 4 tries to move 10 yards. If you succeed, you get to reset for another 4. If you don't, the other team gets the ball. The first time I finally understood that and it clicked, I was like, oh my God, I'm such a dunce. Before then, I would sit at games just waiting for a touchdown to happen. I knew they had to go 10 yards, obviously. I just didn't know how it actually worked. And everyone around me knew when to clap and when to cheer, and I was just kind of following along without really knowing why. It's like I was at a party, but I didn't get the inside joke. Those moments are what make me laugh at myself and remind me why I started this podcast. I'm not here as an expert because I know I'm not one by any means, but I am here figuring out one play at a time right alongside with you. Here's the thing. I realized I don't actually need to know everything to enjoy football, and that I already understood more than I even gave myself credit for. I know the basics. Offense has the ball, their job is to move it forward and score. Defense is to try and stop them. Simple, easy day. It's all the other technical details that get me. The details and stuff you miss if you look down for 2 seconds or get distracted and suddenly have no idea what just happened. It's those little choices in the middle of the game that throw me off. Suddenly, everyone is lining up to kick a field goal, and at first thought, I'm like, why aren't we just going for the touchdown? What happened? Field goals always felt so anticlimactic to me. They couldn't get the touchdown, so they're settling for a field goal to get the 3 points. But now I see it differently, that I understand. Coaches are weighing the risk. Do we take the safe guaranteed 3 points, or gamble on 4th down and risk it for the biscuit and possibly walk away with nothing? In close games, those decisions and those kicks can literally change everything. And that's where football gets really interesting. On 4th down, it isn't just the end of the road. It's a decision point. And a coach basically has 3 options. 1, they kick the field goal if they're close enough. Safer play, you walk away with points. 2, you go for it. You run the ball. 1 more play, high risk, high reward. If you convert, The drive stays alive, and if not, you hand the ball over right there, or you can punt it away. If you're too far for a field goal, that's basically saying we'd rather push the other team back and trust our defense. And let's hope we have a good defense. Once I realized that, football got so much more exciting because it's not just the plays, it's the coaches basically playing chess on the sideline, trying to decide what move to make. So take this past January, for example. During the Cotton Bowl in college playoffs, UT Texas versus Ohio State, Arch Manning, yes, football royalty. Quick tidbit for those who don't know who Arch Manning is. He's the nephew to Eli and Peyton Manning, and if you don't know who they are, Eli Manning played for the New York Giants and Peyton Manning played for the Colts and then the Denver Broncos. But I guess you could basically say that they are the Jason and Travis Kelce of today. Sort of. So talk about Arch Manning having the whole world basically on his shoulders. He was the #1 overall recruit in college football. I had no idea why he chose to play at Texas. I have my own opinions as to why, but he says it's because he wanted to play under their coach, so good for him. But like I said, the guy literally has the world riding on his shoulders with his family status. He's a 21-year-old sophomore who's a quarterback at UT. I'm sure he'll get drafted into the NFL, hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, he's got a lot of shoes to fill. Anywho, back at the game. So at the Cotton Bowl, Arch came in late in the second quarter, facing 4th and 1 at midfield. Instead of punting, he kept the ball himself, ran it for 8 yards, and kept the drive alive, which resulted eventually in Texas tying the game before halftime. That moment watching Arch Manning make that call during the 4th and 1 decision, that's when I realized I wasn't just watching anymore. I was invested. My heart was actually racing. I found myself texting my dad, who's a huge football fanatic, and he's been trying to get me more into football for years. And I remember texting him saying, "Did you see that?" And then he texted me back like, "That was insane." So it's funny how one play can literally flip a switch from casual observer to someone who's generally stressed about the outcome. So 4th down isn't just another play. It's momentum. Fail, and you hand the ball over to the other team for a golden opportunity. Succeed, and you flip the entire energy of the whole game. Moments like those are what hooked me, because now, instead of just zoning out, I'm leaning in and I'm thinking, okay, what's the coach going to do here? The first time I really followed a drive start to finish, I wasn't an expert, but I was caught up in the energy, and that's what being a fan is about. Not knowing every single rule, but feeling connected to the highs and lows of what's going on. And honestly, because of that, one of my favorite parts now is just asking questions. So I'm understanding the hype, being in the moment, and not just tagging along with the energy of the person next to me, that I actually am feeling that energy, that I understand and feel it too. So instead of pretending or just not saying anything, I'll say, wait, what just happened? What did I miss? Because we all get distracted. Like, okay, a few weeks ago, college football was kicking off for this season. And in the middle of the game that we were watching, my friend's kids decided to destroy our neighborhood playground. So we had to go fix that and ended up missing a whole quarter, which is part of life. It happens. You got to go take care of it. So I had to go back and figure out, what did I miss? What happened? And most of the time, people have no problem telling you what you missed out on, especially if it was good and you weren't there to witness it. And they love explaining the sport they're passionate about. Sometimes they can explain way too much, but hey, that's part of the fun too, even though it can go right over your head sometimes and you're just like, oh, okay, you lost me. But it's so fun to see those things. Oh, but you know one thing I haven't talked about yet is the experience of football. The stuff that happens off the field. For me, being at a football game is so much more than just trying to keep up with the downs. It's the energy, the noise, and the people. You feel like you're part of something bigger. Even if you don't fully understand what's happening on the field, I'll be honest, sometimes tailgating and snacks are the highlight for me. The first tailgate I ever went to was at LSU, and I honestly think that was more fun for me than the game itself. Okay, not really, Not fully, because there's nothing like an LSU game in Death Valley at the home stadium. But I mean, the food, the barbecue, the wings, the nachos, you name it. I think food is like a universal fan language. Even if you don't know the plays, you know how to share some good food and drinks to celebrate. Let me paint you a picture of that LSU tailgate. We're talking 6 a.m. setup, people wheeling in grills bigger than ones that you see in your backyard, and everyone treating you like family even though you've just met. There was this one group who had matching jerseys going back like 3 generations. It was so cute. It was like grandparents, parents, and kids, and they were all decked out in purple and gold. I remember the grandpa was probably around like 75 years old or something, and he was grilling and he was explaining to me why the LSU offense line was struggling so hard that season while also flipping burgers that smelled so good. I was so excited when they invited us to come eat with them and hang out. It was just such a great time. And then there's the band and the cheerleaders. In college football, especially, that whole halftime show is just as much a part of the tradition as the game itself. Even during the game, the band is constantly hyping you up with defense, or when there's a touchdown and everyone's chanting everything at the same time, it keeps that energy alive. And it gives you something to enjoy even if you're not glued to every play. What's funny is that when you're in the stadium, you almost don't even need to know what's going on because the crowd tells you. Everyone gasps, you gasp, and then when everyone jumps, you jump. Like, it's contagious. The atmosphere just carries you. Even when I don't get every call or every play, I still get to be swept up in that feeling. And that's what makes the game so special. Okay, before I forget, can we talk about penalties for a second? Because this is something else that has been one of the most confusing parts of football for me. Like I mentioned earlier, flags flying everywhere, the refs making a motion with their arms, and half the crowd groans and the other half cheers. Like, someone obviously messed up somewhere. And I'm just standing there like, what happened? Why is there a flag? What's going on? Take holding, for example. I had to ask like 3 different people to explain it to me. So basically, the offensive lineman can't grab onto a defender's jersey or tackle them before the play develops. Here's the kicker. Players are all pushing and shoving anyways. So how do they even decide like what's holding and what's just blocking? That's something I still don't get. Then there's offsides. That is the one where the defensive player crosses the line of scrimmage too early before the ball is snapped. Sounds simple. But in moments like that, it's like, did he really move early or are we just splitting hairs here? And don't even get me started on false starts. The first time I saw a flag for a false start, I'm looking around like, who moved? Everyone is still in position. Turns out someone flinched. Flinched. In what world is flinching a penalty? But then my friend explained to me that it's like getting a head start in a race. Even the tiniest advantage matters when you're dealing with massive humans running full speed at each other. So now I watch for those little moments, and honestly, it's kind of addictive trying to spot them before the refs do, especially when it's for the other team. And then pass interference versus an interception is another one that gets me too. That is where I probably have sounded the most ridiculous. I literally thought someone got an interception one time and cheered so loud, like jumped up and clapped and cheered and just got stared at because it was not an interception. And I was like, oh, well, they look the same. How do you know? So pass interference is when a defender basically blocks or holds the receiver before they even have a chance to catch the ball. And an interception, though, is fair game. It means the defender caught the ball instead, which we all get happy about. And sometimes those calls feel so subjective, like a ref flipping a coin or something. If you've seen Peaky Blinders, you probably know what I'm talking about. And then there's face masks. You know, it's bad enough when you see a player's head get twisted around. That's one I do understand. But many of those look so painful. I'm always calling out someone on a face mask when I see it, especially when a ref ignores it, because I get real heat. I'm like, he grabbed that shit. Like, you can't deny that. And that makes me so mad. I think what makes penalties extra frustrating is just how much they can change the flow of the game. You could have a perfect touchdown wiped out because of one flag, or a huge defensive stop undone by something so small. But here's what I've learned to accept. You don't have to know every penalty inside and out to enjoy it. Just watch what the ref signals. It'll at least tell you who's in trouble. So before we wrap up, here are a few basic takeaways that help me understand football better, and hopefully they do for you too. So, downs and yardage. You get 4 tries called downs to move the ball 10 yards. If you do, you reset. If you don't, the other team takes over. Think of it as like 4 chances to pass a video game level. Fans go wild for a first down because it means the offense gets a fresh set of chances for 4 more tries for another down. Scoring. Touchdowns, 6 points. An extra point kick is 1 point. That's through the uprights. 2-point conversions are running or passing the ball after a touchdown to get 2 points. A field goal is 3 points. And safety, which is tackling the offense in their own end zone, is 2 points. Basically, touchdowns are the big moments, but games are often won sometimes by field goals or little plays that you would never expect. Penalties. Flags, someone messed up. You might be holding, offsides, face mask, or pass interference. You don't have to know every single rule right away. Remember, watch the ref. He'll tell you who's in trouble. And then with all of that, thinking about it, the more I realize football isn't always just about a game. It sometimes can feel like a metaphor for life. Like progress happens in downs. You don't just sprint to the end zone in one try. You take steps, sometimes forward, sometimes backwards. And just like in football, when you go backwards, you reset and you try again. Teamwork matters. Football is not a solo sport and neither is life. We all need people, coaches, teammates, family, friends to push us along and grow side by side. Your people are what keep you going in life to reach your dreams and goals. And mistakes happen. None of us are perfect. I know I'm not, and we are all just trying to figure it out. Fumbles, interception, yeah, they hurt, they suck, but the game keeps going, and so does life. We keep pushing on, we stay strong, we band together, and we don't stay down. We get up and try again. Joyce Meyer has this quote that I love, and it goes, "I may not be where I want to be, but at least I'm not where I used to be. I'm okay, and I'm on my way." And that hits home for me because it's exactly how life feels. And also what football and sports have shown me. Progress is not about getting it all right the first time. It's about taking steps forward, learning from mistakes, and keeping the drive alive. That's why sports connect so easily to life. They both can teach us resilience, teamwork, and the value of small wins. So for me, the biggest lesson is this. It's okay to be confused. It's okay to not know everything. The point isn't perfection. It's progress. Always taking steps forward no matter how many times you get pushed back. Because football isn't just about touchdowns and life isn't just about big wins. It's the first downs, the little moments, or the steps forward and the steady progress that keep us moving. And that to me is the real joy in both. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed this episode, laughed, learned something new, or felt a little less lost, make sure you follow and subscribe for more. You can listen on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcast. You can also follow me on Instagram at Fan in Progress and watch full episodes on YouTube. Stay tuned for more sports talk next time because there's always something new to learn. Again, I'm Kimberly Witt, and remember, whether it's in sports or in life, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Thanks for listening.